Hey, good morning, everybody. We're about 5 minutes away, so we'll be back here in about 5 minutes. So, looking forward to spending some time with everybody this morning. Well, good morning, everybody. Kristen Brockett.
Good morning, friends.
Good morning.
Are you having
Jordan, how are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, sir. I'm good, sir. I'm just going to go through a little bit of house cleaning here and a little housekeeping, and then we're coming right to you.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Well, good morning, everybody. Hey, thanks for being here. Welcome to our April month-end meeting. So, it's 10 o'clock. We had an appointment at 10 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to go into share screen so we can pick up the PowerPoint, and we'll be off to the races. So hang tight. We got a couple people finding a few seats. All right, guys, we'll go ahead and get started. Hey, welcome again to our April month-end meeting. We're going to come out of the gate with some bucket fills. So each room, hey, just come off mute for just a few minutes. I'm going to give you guys 4 minutes. Let's get some bucket fills around the room, okay? Who are the people that are showing up for you, showing up around you that you might be leaning on? Let's go ahead and take a few minutes and get some bucket fills in the room. And you guys can go on mute while we do this, and then I'll be right back.
Share my screen. Somebody said they can't see it. Okay, we got one.
Okay, mine is just Brian Hazley. I want to fill Brian Hazley's bucket. Just such a wealth of knowledge for commercial, and commercial is something that I'm stepping into and learning more about. But there's so much to it. Without Brian, would not be able to do it and represent the clients at the level that need to be represented. I got a phone call of a lead of somebody that I knew, and it's turned out to be this actually 2 big projects, way out of my scope of ability, but I had confidence in my ability. But with Brian and KW Commercial and his background, I mean, we can just go into that appointment so confidently, and it's just such a value of what Brian Hazley brings to not only our market center, but to the Louisville Market Center. We got a nice little commercial group going on with the Van Zyk over in the Louisville office, and just a lot of good stuff. So I just want to.
Awesome. Let's give it a
stuff.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Hey, we got a couple of bucket bills here in Lexington, if we can go.
Yeah, go right ahead.
We got Dana, one of our Keller Home Loans, specialist up here. She's got a bucket bill for everybody.
Yeah, I just want to take a second. I mean, I thank a lot of you guys for sending loans my way, but in particular, recently, John Bentley has sent 3 or 4. Really trying to get Keller Home Loans engaged, so I would just want to shout out to John and say how much I appreciate that.
John's sending 3 deals your way. Let's go.
Putting Keller Home Loans first, so I just want to say.
That's awesome. You take care of the client. Shout out to John. John, you gotta have a bill.
It goes.
Oh, yeah. John, you gotta talk about those people that need to hear there. Oh, it's long distance? Yeah, you better come on. John found it out. He's getting yeah, just for some money. Hey, I'm John. Recently, on the Charleston, a couple weeks ago, and of course, when you're reading, that clients want to look at houses. So, I really appreciate Stephen Brashear, Joseph, and Mike Hatter for covering for me for a few different clients. Yeah, team leader out in the wild, show them how. I would like to thank you for the opportunity.
All right, guys, one more minute. We'll wrap up the bucket fills as, and then we'll keep going. All right, so keeping things moving here, guys. Here's what I'm going to tell you. This business is one where you go a lot farther when you got people to lean on. So appreciate the bucket fills. Appreciate you guys sharing that gratitude with each other. At the end of the day, you know, we all pulled together, right? We all pulled together. So I appreciate that. Next up, just a quick reminder. We're going to be once again lunch. Right, lunch with Tara and I every meeting we do this. Gonna make a post on social media today. Share one of your takeaways from the day. And here's the thing: you got a choice. You got two options, right? You can have lunch with Tara and I. We'll talk about any topic you want to talk about. Business building around, you know, being in business as a family, teams, leadership, anything along those lines. Or the other option would be you just get a gift card, right? Gift card or a DoorDash credit. So far, we're actually 2 for 2. People have actually chosen the live lunch over the gift card. So we're crushing it in that respect. What do you got to do to make it happen? Just make a post on social media with one of your takeaways from the day. Okay. Check in at your market center. All right. And then simply tag Tara and I in the comments. So that way we'll go back through 5 o'clock today. We'll have the drawing, and some lucky winner is going to be able to have that lunch with Tara and I. I want to share something with you real quick. This is pretty cool. This is actually a letter that Gary Keller wrote. It comes out of a journal where he was basically taking down his thoughts. And I just want to read it to you. And it's interesting because I'm pretty sure all of us at some point in time have had this self-talk, right? So just a little bit about what was on Gary's mind. So calls and appointments, both 4-letter words in my mind in 1979. From the time I began my real estate career 48 years ago, I've had to wrestle with these 2 words. I have a degree in real estate, was a broker at age 21, and during all of the education, no one, not a single person, ever mentioned these 2 words. I was educated to be a real estate expert, but not trained to have customers. So imagine to my total surprise when I discovered I had to find my own clients. Shocked, dismayed, fearful. I called my mom and dad. Do you believe I have a college degree that pays no money? Now, funny, he was equally surprised. By nature, I was introverted, shy, right? Didn't have very much confidence. Oh, and by the way, I was broke. Interest rates were headed towards 18%. I had to find clients or go broke. Honestly, I was lost, but about to be saved by 2 things: the law of big numbers and a job. By chance, I stumbled into a Tom Hopkins videotape where I heard the law of big numbers for the first time. He said that for every 100 people I would talk to about real estate, someone would hire me. I thought, wow, I have a formula for success. But I still have a problem. How do I make this happen? The answer showed up in my schooling. We had been taught to do a job from a list of actions to take. So I decided to hire myself and give myself a job, a set of tasks I had to do that would deliver the appointments I would convert to clients. I never questioned, should I do it? To not do it would get me fired. I simply did the task of making contacts, and the law of big numbers delivered. I did my job. It worked. Even at interest rates climbing to 18%, I hit all my goals for the first year. I've used this approach my entire career, and it's never let me down. Interesting. Calls and appointments. Got a quick video that I'm going to show you guys, and then we're going to go to, we're going to turn it over to Mr. Freed. Just a quick video about following your dreams. Just give it a listen.
You know why kids love athletes? Because they screw lingerie models. That's why we love athletes. Kids love athletes. because they follow their dream.
Well, I can't dunk.
No, but you can cook. What are you talking about? Your resume says that you minored in French culinary arts. Most students that look at a fryer at KFC, but you bust tables at the old support yourself. Get out of college, come and work here. How much did they first pay you to give up on your dreams?
27 grand a year.
And when were you gonna stop and come back and do what makes you happy? See guys work at the same company their entire lives, guys, exactly like you. Clock in, they clock out. They never.
Guys, today our guest speaker is Jordan Freed. Jordan is going to spend some time with us. Guys, Jordan is executive coach with MAPS. He's also in the One Thing coaching program. Directly coached for many, many years by the amazing Tony DeCello. Tony regarded as one of the best ever, right? Maybe one of the greatest of all times in the world of coaching. And each time I hear Jordan speak, I'm always reminded of the importance of leading myself first. So it's absolutely my pleasure and an honor to introduce Jordan to you guys. And Jordan, take it away, sir.
Thank you, Bo. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm excited to get to speak with you all this morning. And I've got like 6 or 7 really big, bold ideas that I want to share with you today. You know, as a coach, I wake up every Sunday and I think to myself, this week, how am I going to convince my clients just how big, bold, strong, and smart they are? See, I'm in the sales game just like you are, but I have to sell people on their own potential. I have to sell people on the idea that they are unique and amazing. And so today I'm going to walk you through a series of frameworks, some things that I use, whether it's in a group like this or one-on-one. And these are really powerful tools. And I want you to know that each one of these, they're not theoretics, but they're from the trenches of coaching conversations. Now, as Bo mentioned, I've been an executive coach for some time. I've been with MAPS now for 10 years. April 1st was my 10-year anniversary. It's a funny story. The first time I got a call to be approved for MAPS, it was on April 1st, and I didn't even believe the person calling me. I actually thought it was my buddy screwing with me. But when I entered the coaching world, I had one goal, and the goal was to complete 10,000 hours of coaching, to become a master at this thing. And it's something that's interesting because I get approached a lot by people who are in that influencer coaching space, and they always want to tell me how this latest, greatest piece of technology or this latest and greatest platform is going to revolutionize and get me high ticket clients with no effort. And I always come back to the same place. I say, you know what the difference between you and me is? You want to market a difference and I want to make one. And so in this period of time, I've done 15,000 one-on-one 45-minute coaching calls with the biggest and brightest minds in all of real estate. And as I mentioned, I'm going to share with you some really insightful tools, ideas, things that you can immediately use to influence yourself and the people around you. Now, September of 2024, I was in Austin, Texas, and I had the entire day to visit with Gary Keller. He had me come down there. We were talking about some ideas in the future of MAPS. And in the morning, we went through several things, but the afternoon, it kind of opened up. And Gary asked me, what else would you like to cover? And I said, you know, Gary, I have a burning question. The question is, how does a guy like me get to coach a guy like you? How does a guy like me get to coach a guy like you? And he said something that was really profound. And he said, you know, guys like me, we're not walking around with empty plates. We're not walking around looking for more things to do. In fact, I'm looking for ways to get things off of my plates. And he said, everything about your approach to coach a guy like me has to be practical. It's got to be practical. Otherwise, I won't be able to implement it. So I really thought about that. Practicality, right? How can I lace that into what I do? And I kept thinking about it and thinking about it. And right before family reunion, I actually spoke on a panel, The 4 Ways to Lose a Mega Agent. And it hit me. 90 to 95% of people who come to coaching relationships, they come to get these 4 questions answered. 90 to 95% of people come to coaching relationships looking to get these 4 questions answered. And these are questions that I would invite you to write down for 2 reasons. 1, for you to answer them, and number 2, for you to ask them of the people around you, the people you lead, both maybe at home and the people you lead at work. First question, what is it you want and don't have? What is it that you want and don't have? Question 2, what is it you have and don't want? What is it you have and don't want? Now, most of the time, the answer to this, when I do a little bit of digging, it typically lands in the container of habits. May not be the case for you, but that's where it typically goes in my conversations. Habits that we have that maybe we don't want. We've identified and installed a habit somewhere along the way that we no longer want or isn't serving us. Number 3, what are you not doing that you know you should? What are you not doing that you know you should? Now, remember, this doesn't just work inside of the professional realm. I also mean personally. But what is it you're not doing and you know you should? And then lastly, what are you doing that you know you shouldn't? What are you doing that you know you shouldn't? 4 really powerful questions, 4 really powerful directions that you can ultimately take a coaching conversation. And yet, here's the thing. Start with you. See, there's a lot of us out there, especially in the coaching space, who want to be preachers and not practitioners. They want to be preachers and not practitioners. And one thing that I share with coaches, because I got to be honest, here's my greatest joy today. My greatest joy today, and we're going to launch this in June. We've got a new product coming out. It's low cost, high protein. It's called the Freed Method. I'm going to peel back the curtain and let people see how I ultimately coach. But what I tell coaches all the time is that you can only ever coach someone to the level of your own personal transformation. You can only ever coach someone at the level of your own personal transformation. I haven't done the production that a lot of the people that I coach today do. I coach the #1 real estate agent inside of Keller Williams right now. And he sells more houses in a quarter than I probably did in my entire career. But you're not going to beat very many people that have looked more inward than I have. And that's what I want for each and every one of you. Now, here's what I want you to get, is that whatever the answers are to those questions, whether it's something you want and don't have, something you have and don't want, however you answer those, the thing that I'm always looking for is what's called a synergistic solution. A synergistic solution. And here's the way that I think about it, right? And it may be in my own life or maybe somebody that I'm working with. If it was Bo here and Bo comes to me and we start working together and we analyze all the challenges that Bo has, and let's just say that there's 10 of them, right? If I have 10 problems to solve inside of the life or the business of a client, I'm not going to try to solve all 10. I'm going to ask the question, what's the one problem that if I solve that one, it will solve the other 9? What's the one area that if I optimize for that area, it will help all other areas get better? And look, I'll give you the cheat code here. When it comes to those 4 questions, the synergistic solution is self-leadership. It's self-leadership. It's your level of commitment to leading yourself first, for you going first. And there's a quote, something that I absolutely love, and I share this pretty often, and I hope each and every one of you will take this to heart. Here's what it says. What the teacher is more important than what he teaches. What the teacher is more important than what he teaches. And so when we think about this idea of self-leadership, right? And we get really clear that this is the synergistic solution. Here's what I want you to understand. Have you ever had that opportunity or that circumstance where you're sitting in a movie theater and you are into this movie, right? It's a 2-hour movie. It's 60 minutes into it. And all of a sudden, the actress's lips start moving and there's like a 1 to 2 second delay before you hear anything coming out of the speakers. Any of y'all ever had that happen? I know I have. And what most of us won't do is look at the time and think, oh my God, okay, I've got another hour before this movie is over. I'm just going to sit here and watch the rest of the movie while that has this delay. None of you are going to do that. And when I poll people inside of My Free Life, which is our signature course, when I poll people about why don't you do that? Why don't you sit there and watch the rest of the movie? I always get the same 2 answers. It's distracting and frustrating. It's distracting and frustrating. So when our audio and video don't match, it's distracting and frustrating. And what I want you to understand is that it's the same thing for those around you to be led by you when you constantly say one thing and then do another. And again, it doesn't matter if we're talking about team members or children, a spouse, all areas of your life. If your audio and video don't match, it's really tough to follow you. And inside of that, this idea of self-leadership, I'll never forget, I was on a kick to find some content, something that I could share with my clients. This was back in 2019. And I went out on KW Connect. And while I was there, I came across this interview. And the interview was between Ben Kinney and a guy named David Voorhees. And David asked Ben a really, really intelligent question. He said, how have you consistently surrounded yourself with such magnificent people? And what I love about that question, y'all, is that not only is he asking a great question, but he's asking it of the right person. Because if you know Ben, right, he's the co-founder of Place, he's the owner of Brivity, one of the biggest real estate agents on the face of the planet. People go into his world, but they stick. You don't typically see people bouncing in and out of Ben's world. And Ben actually answered in this triangle right here, and it changed everything about the way that I coach. He said, first, I got really good at leading myself. I got really good at leading myself. And then I earned the right to lead others. I earned the right to lead others. Now, here's the thing. If I'm in front of a room of people and it's a live room, I have them all around and I can hear everything they're saying, I'll ask them to give me a definition of leadership. And every time the definition is always pointed at leading others. It's always pointed at leading others. There's 2 types of leadership, everybody. There are leadership of others, and then there's leadership of ourselves. And the best leaders simply align those 2 things so that the leadership of others is simply reflected of the leadership of ourselves. And so what he said is that as I got better at leading others, I started to create leaders. Said another way, he started to teach people how to think so they could get what they want when they wanted it. And then he started to attract leaders into the organization. Now, I have 2 daughters, Leah and Zoe. They're 9 and 11. And I don't know about you, but my goal is for them to attract leaders into their lives. I want to create or help them become leaders themselves by leading them, but that's always going to be a reflection of how well I'm leading myself. And from this came my all-time favorite coaching question. My all-time favorite coaching question is on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being you're absolutely nailing it, 0 being you're failing miserably. How well are you leading yourself? How well are you leading yourself? And the follow-up to that is I always like to ask, listen, if I were a fly on the wall and you didn't know I was there, and I just followed you around for an entire week, a normal week, personally and professionally, and I wrote down everything you did, everything you said, and from that observation, I created a playbook on you. And so I take this playbook, I run it through ChatGPT because maybe I've got some misspellings and stuff. I clean it up, but then I go home and I run that play. How successful would I become in my health? How successful would I become in my key relationships, my finances, my job, my career? And here's what I want you to understand. You are a magnet to what you model. You are a magnet to what you model. And I get agents sometimes, this doesn't happen as often today as it used to, but I get people who will come to me and they might be in leadership at Keller Williams. They might be one of my own clients, and they'll say things like, these agents, they just don't get it, they don't want to do the work. They don't want to make the calls, blah, blah, blah. They aren't accountable. Okay. Well, I always listen to them. And then when they're done, I say, do you mind if I share an observation with you? Sure. Everything that you just described about the agents in your organization is exactly how I would describe you. That's exactly how I would describe you. You say one thing, you do another. You tell me every week you're going to get something done and then you don't. You avoid things that you know would set you free. You're a magnet to what you model. But here's the critical mistake you're making. You're judging others on their actions and yourself on your intentions. And you've got that flipped. You need to flip that. Because your own behavior is the greatest leadership tool you have. And as it relates to people, we're only going to show up in one of two ways. We're warnings or examples. We're a warning as to what not to do, or an example of exactly how to walk the path. And see, when you can confidently look someone in the eye and say, look, you follow me around for a week. Everything I do, everything I say, you design it into a playbook. It may not be perfect, but I can promise you one thing that everybody wants: progress. You will make progress. Now, when we get into this world of like self-leadership and how well we're leading ourselves, self-leadership is the lead domino, right? It's the one synergistic solution that will tip over all others. But inside of that, we have what's called a first domino. It's like the one thing inside of the one thing. And if you really want to raise your leadership score, if you really want to get good at leading yourself, this is a critical skill. Personal promise keeping. Personal promise keeping. The ability and willingness to keep your own promises. I'm not talking about all the promises you make to other people. Some of you are such people pleasers that your willingness to keep promises to everyone else is the exact thing that keeps you from keeping promises to yourself. But when you really look at how we can move you forward, how we can create momentum and progress in your own world, there are two questions that I would ask you. Number one, what are the promises you consistently make and break with yourself? What are the promises you consistently make and break with yourself? Number two, and I want you to listen to every word of this. What is the singular promise that if you kept it, it would change your whole life? What is the singular promise that if you kept it, it would change your whole life? Now, emphasis on the word singular, because when I talk to achievers, right, I get like 5 to 6 promises, and that's part of the issue is that we overextend ourselves. We take something that should exist on a learning curve, we put it on a learning cliff, we make everything so hard and the margin for error so thin that when we inevitably slip and fall down the cliff, it just reinforces the story that we don't follow through. I want you to be very clear about this promise. Make it something that you can keep. Make it something that's tough to keep, but not impossible. But what is the singular promise that if you kept it, it would change your entire life? And whatever that is, I'm not saying you have to be perfect, but I am saying that you've got to make progress, that you want to get better and better at this, because that is what will make your audio match your video. If you can't keep the promise, don't make it. Don't make it. Don't hurt yourself by creating a track record in a wake of unkept promises behind you. Now, another idea as it relates to increasing our score, to how well are you leading yourself? Each and every one of us have to make peace and create a relationship with this idea of control. And when we think about control, you guys, I think of it as a coin. I call it the coin of control. It has two sides. On one side, we have to make peace with what we can't control. And a question I ask people, and sometimes they have to journal on it, they may not always have the answer in the moment. I would encourage you to write it down and maybe think about it. What is the uncontrollable I consistently attempt to control? What is the uncontrollable I consistently attempt to control? Because here's what I know. You only control 3 things in this world: how you think, how you feel, and how you act. And when you attempt to control what is uncontrollable, you lose control of what you can. Now, as I mentioned, there's one side of the coin we have to make peace with: uncontrollable things, uncontrollable circumstances. And once we become aware of it, we are not going to pay any mind to circumstances or people that we have no control over. But the other side of that coin, as I mentioned, are the things we do control. And see, to me, self-mastery is dedicating your life to becoming a practitioner, to becoming skilled at controlling your thoughts, your feelings, and actions. And this is called agency. Not agency in the sense of buyer or seller agency, but if you look up agency and the definition of it from a psychological perspective, it is the degree of control we feel we possess over our thoughts, feelings, and actions. And people of high agency, people who have a high degree of thoughts, feelings, and actions, typically have high confidence. And I would encourage you to really think through both sides of those coins and how you can ultimately raise your score each and every day getting a little bit better. Now, the last thing I'll share with you before I hand this back to Bo is I have an all-time favorite coaching formula. I gave you my all-time favorite coaching question, but my all-time favorite coaching formula is this one right here. It's from the Inner Game of Tennis, and it's performance equals potential minus interference. When somebody shares with me 0 to 10, here's my leadership score, right? Let's say it's a 6. Well, in my mind, that's their performance. And I want to show you how you can use this both with yourself and the people that you lead. But start with you. If Bo here says, I'm a 6, great, Bo. The natural question that most coaches are going to ask is, what would it take to make you a 10? What I don't like about that question is it immediately establishes a gap. I don't want him to live in a gap. I want him to live in a gain. So the question I'm going to ask Bo is, Bo, why didn't you say 0? Why didn't you say 0? And I want him to share all the reasons why his performance is actually a 6. It's actually looking for the good. Because so many people in today's world, maybe it's always been this way, subscribe to a belief. They subscribe to the belief that somehow they're going to become a winner talking to themselves like a loser. And I can promise you, you will never become a winner talking to yourself like a loser. So I'm going to get clear with Bo on where it is that he's in the game. Where is he already winning? Then I'm going to take him through the rest of the formula. And I'll say, all right, Bo, you didn't say 10, so we still have some room to grow into your potential. What's the interference? Here's the question I would invite you all to write down and really think about answering from your head and your heart. What is preventing me from all out crushing this life? What is preventing me from all out crushing this one wild and precious life? See, there's a lot of people in my space that like to call themselves the why guy. I'm the why gal. Awesome. I love that for you. I'm the why not. I want to understand why you're creative, resourceful, and whole, but don't believe it. I want to understand why we have more resources today than we've ever had in the history of people, and yet you're still not getting what it is that you want. And this answer is so, so important. And it leads me to one of my all-time favorite quotes. And this is kind of my method. This is my framework for how I work with people. Not my quote, but I love the thought behind it. A man asked the gardener why his plants grow so beautifully. The gardener said, I don't force them to grow. I remove what stops them. What we're looking to do through that coaching formula, everybody, is how do we remove the obstacles that would create the growth that would lead to a life of fun, fulfillment, and freedom. Now, I know we've covered a lot here, and if you like the perspective and the things that we've done, and Bo, I'll put this on the screen. You can screenshot this if you like. I have 7 questions that changed my life. We can also put that into the chat box for you. I'll go grab it, or maybe Laura just did it. Thank you, Laura. These are just some of my all-time favorite questions, things that maybe you've heard, things that maybe you haven't. But I would invite you to get those, download them, and invest your time doing your best to answer them. So thank you for the opportunity. I trust that this was something that you got value out of. And Bo, if possible, I'd love to get an aha. And look, if you didn't get anything out of the time that I just spent here with you, just make it up, because you're going to hurt my feelings if you don't come up with something. So make it up if you have to.
Well, I'll speak for myself. many, many pages of notes, and I know we've got some ahas coming for you here in a second. I'll throw one thing out. So if I'm sitting here today and I'm taking this in, and it's landing at a really, really high level. So that what's my first step, right? I'm leaving here today. If I'm going to start with me, if I'm going to start becoming a practitioner, what's that very first step look like, Jordan?
One is, what's your answer to the question of how well are you leading yourself, right? That's where I'm going to start. And then, Bo, if I'm constructing that together, what's the singular promise that's going to get you to raise that score, right? What's the one promise that if you kept it? And here's the thing, we see this all the time and the one thing at Productive is that most of it has to do with health. And there's a principle that I live by, and something that I share with people. Energy makes easy. When you feel good and have high energy, everything is easier than if you're tired, burnt out, worn out, whatever. And from there, once we know your promise, well, then I'm going to go to the interference. What's getting in your way? What's preventing you? What's the obstacle? Now, I'll give you a hint. 9 times out of 10, the obstacle you wrote down, that's a symptom, not a cause. And you've got to dig deep on that. And as I mentioned, we have our signature course, My Freed Life. You can check that out at my website, jordanfreed.com. It's under the events tab. But we dig really deep into that. And that's a real rich conversation. It's ultimately trying to figure out the answer to the question. And this question from a place of non-judgment, but why am I like this? Why am I like this? And that question is one that we aren't taught to ask and answer enough. And there's 2 reasons for that. Some people don't want to go digging in their past because they feel like it's an excuse. But what I share with people is that if you can figure out why you are the way that you are, it's not for an excuse, it's for an explanation. And all I'm looking for is how we can help you become the best version of you possible. And it's another great question. How long are you going to wait to finally demand the best of yourself? And I hope that that's today, that you'll finally demand the best of yourself today. So does that answer your question, Bo?
Yes, it did. Yes, thank you. Thank you. And I'm writing again, demanding the best of yourself.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Anyone, Jordan asked for a couple ahas. Who's got something they'd like to share?
Make it up if you have to.
Yes.
All right, we've got some in Cincinnati.
Hi, I said one thing when you first come into our home, like you and that's so true.
She's talking about magnet to what you model. How that really stuck with her and the audio video part.
Yeah.
Joseph, you've got your hand up there.
Yeah, I was gonna say this was really great. I like the approach that Jordan talks about when you're coaching or consulting somebody. You ask them to grade themselves on that scale of 1 to 10, and they're giving you a 6. Not asking about the gap, not asking like, well, why are we at 10? But asking, reframing the whole approach to, okay, why are we at 6? Why are we where? Why are we where? Well, why
didn't you say 0 is the question, right? So how can, because here's the thing. Each and every person has areas in their lives that they refuse to lose in. Like, for example, if you followed me around, I refuse to lose as a husband and a father. And the reason is it's so in alignment with my value system. Now, if there are areas where we're in conflict, like you say in business, right? I always feel conflicted or whatever. Okay, cool. Well, where's the values conflict in there? Why is it that you show up as the best version of you here? And how can we translate that to the areas that you're not? And so the idea is that you're already winning. You already know how to win. And so you're not starting from zero in the areas that it feels like you're not making as much progress as you should. We just need to apply a similar strategy that makes you win in other areas. And what I find with coaches, and I'm so sick of this, is this, I'm going to hold these like high accountable tasks. And if you don't do it, you show up and I'm going to punch you in the throat. That doesn't work. Write this down and remember it. You need to remember it for yourself. You need to remember it for other people. Abuse does not incite performance. And, you know, when people come to me and they're like, I want to be held accountable, I need somebody to punch me in the throat. I always say, I don't do that. I don't do that. I'm more interested in why you need to be abused in order to be held accountable to achieve your goal. Who taught you that? Why do you think that's the path? That's dumb. So sorry to rant, but yeah.
That's great. Thank you, Jordan.
We like a good rant.
Yeah, my soapbox, it follows me. It's man, it's quick. So, well, Bo, Tara, thank you for the opportunity. And I trust that you all will take this and apply it. Don't let it fall victim to so much of what falls victim at Keller Williams, which is shelf help. We have the smartest shelves in the entire industry. Take this, apply it. If there's anything we can do, reach out to us. And I look forward to seeing you all very, very soon.
Thank you, Jordan. Truly
Thank you,
appreciate
Jordan.
it. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
All right, team. Powerful stuff. Wow. I'm going to pop back into the slides real quick, and we'll start to wrap up our time together. So, real quick, let me jump back into the little share screen. Okay.
You know why kids.
All right. Hey, there's a QR code on the screen right here. A little bit of a download. This is there's a Q&A in there from this particular survey, and it's interesting because they surveyed 500 solo agents and mega teams, and they asked them, right, what's the biggest challenge that your business is having right now? Okay, mentioned this on the on yesterday. So let me ask you a question. What do you guys think? Shout some of them out in the room. What do you think is your greatest challenge in your business right now? What's that? Leads. Okay. What else?
Time.
What else?
Distractions.
Yeah. Okay. Here's an interesting thing. When we go back and we look at this survey, these 500 agents, here's the reality. Some of the ones that come in at like, the market, some of the things I'm dealing with in the market, the challenges of the market, it's tough. Mindset, can't keep myself motivated, right? My mindset's not where it needs to be. Lead gen, right? Somebody said leads, right? I need more leads. I need better leads. Interesting, right? And then buyer seller education. What are the buyers and sellers hearing out here? What's the message that's being presented to them? And the interesting thing is those weren't the things. The biggest challenge when they surveyed these real estate agents is leverage. It's leverage. And when we talk about leverage, there's 3 questions that we ask ourselves when we're thinking about what is leverage. So the first thing is, number 1, who is going to do it? I need to get something done. I need to perform at a higher level. I need a thing. I need this. Who's going to do that? That's the first question. The next question becomes, how is that going to get done, right? Once I decide who's going to do it, how are they going to do it? So that goes to the how piece. And then number 3 is, all right, what do I need? Do I have everything that I need in order to get it done? And the answers to those questions, which we know show up here. Leverage comes in 3 forms: people, systems, and tools. The reason that we use systems and tools is to get a consistent result, right? Or a favorable result on a consistent basis. Now, some of us might not be ready for that people component, or when I say people, you might be thinking, oh my gosh, I got to hire somebody. I got to pull in. There's all kinds of different leverage with regards to people. Maybe the first people leverage is you. Who's going to do it? Well, I'm going to have to do it. All right. So what does that look like? It might look like time blocking. It might look at a little bit of planning every Sunday to make sure my schedule's in alignment with the things that I need to get done in order to achieve the things that I desire to do. So it's a really, really interesting piece here, because sometimes when we say leverage, the answer might be as simple as I got to get off thinking that my phone is a database. That spreadsheet, that's not a CRM. Little tiny pieces of paper in a notebook is not where I keep vital information on the important relationships that I desire to have. So interesting little piece right there from this survey. Take a look at that QR code, go through that, read that, look at some of those Q&As and start thinking about it. But it's interesting that that's what these agents believed was their greatest opportunity. All right, so looking ahead to May. So we're gonna be on site. Tara and I are gonna be on site, not necessarily the same day every time, but we're going to be stacking up some classes. So I'm going to be coming through, you can see KW Louisville, Southern Indiana, Commonwealth, and Seven Hills, okay? Having hard conversations in real estate. Now, the conversation itself isn't very hard, but sometimes the conversations that we need to have with our clients, we're not having. When I sign a release, or I'm on the broker side and I talk to some real estate agents, and we're talking about some of the challenges that are out there. A lot of them are a result of not having those hard conversations in the very beginning, not setting proper expectations. The conversations, guys, are going to need to change. It's the one piece of a shifting market that we can absolutely catch up to and get ahead of. Hard conversations, right? With our buyers, with our sellers, so ultimately we get them a more favorable result. Tara's got some classes lined up, 25 ways to sell 25 homes in 2025, right? Guys, fantastic. She's going to be in Southern Indiana teaching that one. We're going to scale our business with leverage. Again, going to look at an organizational chart to match your 5-year goals. If you don't start thinking about it now, if you don't start thinking about what 5 years looks like, guess what? 5 years will be here before you know it. And we're going to be in the same place needing to do the same things. So sometimes it's important to look out a little bit farther than that windshield or the hood of your car. Tara's going to take you guys through that. The top 20% is going to be on the 29th and Seven Hills. The other dates, basically, it's going to be for anybody, right? But take a look at that. I'm looking forward to the hard conversations. I believe dialogues are, you guys know me, I believe in scripts and dialogues at a super high level. Mega Agent Camp, right? It's coming August 11th through the 14th. Tickets are still available. As you guys know, Mega Agent Camp, it's agent focused, right? Family reunion. We got a little something for everybody. Mega Agent Camp. It's going to be for everybody. You can go for free. Talk to your TL. If you've got a capper guest that your team leader can meet with between now and then, we'll pay half your ticket. You get 2 capper guests to your team leader. They decide to go, 100% reimbursement for your ticket. If you bring 3 cappers in front of your team leader, they make a decision to join us at Mega Camp, 100% for your ticket, and we're going to take care of your flight. So some pretty cool stuff right now. Okay, last call. Make your social posts, guys. Jordan Freed, he dropped some incredible things on us today. You can share that. You can share something from one of the ahas in your room or something you picked up with, whatever. But we're going to draw at 5 o'clock today, right? So keep an eye on that. Don't forget what those ahas are. We've had a fantastic time the 2 times we've done this, and look forward to whoever's going to be our next person to go with us. No pressure. You can still opt out and go for the gift card and go by yourself. And that's okay too. And if you'd like me to just leave Tara at home, I can do that too. So anyway, no, I'm kidding. Don't tell her I said that. All right. So I'm going to turn the Zoom back over to you guys. Love for you to share some ahas from your day. You guys Who's got some ahas that they'd like to share with the group? Let me get out of the stop share. Anybody got something? One last thing. What do we got? We got about 3 minutes. All right. Who's got something that everybody in every office absolutely needs to take home today? Anybody? I know you're looking deep into your notes, deep into those incredible notes that you took today. Oh my gosh, there's Amy right now at the front of the room, ready to go. Go ahead, Amy. Kristen, Joseph, somebody throw me a bone here.
Go. You know what got me? You'll never become a winner talking to yourself like a loser.
Ooh.
That was massive.
How many of us are quick to talk to ourselves in a way we would never talk to our partner, spouse, significant other, our children, our grandchildren, right? We never say those things to those people. And yet sometimes we talk to ourselves pretty rough. Amy, you walked up to the front. I can see you ready to go.
Being more of a practitioner than a preacher.
Whoa. Practitioner instead of a preacher. Love that. What do your clients need in this market right now? Practitioners. Absolutely. High-level practitioners. Fantastic. All right, guys. Well, listen, I'm going to give you a couple minutes back. I know a couple of you have got some sponsors that are going to be speaking. So appreciate the time today. If you do bump into Tara, you can just go ahead and tell her I nailed it, even though she wasn't here today, right? So just put in a little good word for me, all right? I'm always on pretty thin ice. But guys, we so appreciate you taking the time. Appreciate the ability to spend this time with you guys. You're awesome. Hey, get out there, work hard, think lucky. All right. And we'll see you soon. Take care.